I think that he doesn't want to get dragged into a war. And I think we're at the brink of going one way or another. I don't think he wants the United States to take an active part in the offensive. He's been warned by all the Gulf states that he cannot use the US bases in the Gulf, and that's their red line, and that I think is 100% crystal clear. There's a lot of pressure coming from Qatar and Saudi Arabia and Oman for him to put pressure on Israel to end the war. And I think that pressure is mounting, and I think he needs those relationships with Sheikh Tamim, the Emir of Qatar, with Prince Mohammed the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia, and the Sultan of Oman. I think all the Gulf states are very important to him. He's very interested. He's transactional. He would like a transactional peace with Iran. He would like to have access to Iran's many natural resources. And that's also why he would like the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, alive. And that's why it was a red line for him that Israel should not assassinate him. Because if Israel assassinates him, as they had planned to do, then he won't have him to negotiate with. And I think he, being who he is, and the Ayatollah being who he is, know how to negotiate with one another. So he's been warned loud and clear by the Gulf states, principally by Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Oman, that US involvement would also mean a potential risk to their own regimes in the Gulf. Plus, it would also mean that that Iran will target them. And he does not want to go down that path. The question really is, how is he going to go about it? And given the deep lack of understanding in the administration of the dynamics in the region, it is not clear. I'm hearing that potentially there is a J.D. Vance-Witkoff meeting coming up. That wouldn't cut it, because if the US continues to insist on zero enrichment, that Iran is not going to be able to agree to, then what? And that then what is very dangerous. So one needs to up the diplomacy and tune into those experts who've been negotiating for a long time and know the region and know the ins and outs of what is possible and what is not, so as to allow Iran to sign a deal that makes sense also to them and allows them to save face. I think he would like to be able to get the Nobel Peace Prize. And he knows full well that if he gets into a war in Iran and moves to the offensive, there is no way that he's going to get the Nobel Peace Prize. How to get to peace, how to get to peace with Iran is a complex question. And in order for him to be able to achieve that, he needs to consult more broadly and appoint mediators beyond Steve Witkoff, who is a real estate mogul who doesn't really have the knowledge of how to do it. And that's where the problem lies, is that he's appointed one mediator to negotiate peace with Ukraine and Russia, with Israel and Palestine and Hamas, and with Iran. And it's just not feasible. So in order for him to try to end the war and try to get this prize that he so badly wants, he needs to tune in to the Gulf states that have a good relationship both with Iran and with the US. And there are three principal Gulf states that have this relationship. And those are Oman, who've been mediating this particular conflict and peace negotiation, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. And if he tunes in to them and takes cue from them, then this war could end.